on with the open forum. So does anyone have any comments, questions?
By the way, for those of you who don't know us, Craig, Mark, Lori, Jane, Bruce Inman, Bruce is our attorney.
Okay, and I'm Gary. And I've just got some things I want to suggest for the board, and these are probably things you've already thought of, but I'm going to throw them out there as suggestions. One would be to consider going ahead and appointing 2 additional board members while this board is in office, as opposed to waiting until after the election. That's my suggestion. Another one is to arrange to have a full reserve study done shortly after the current projects that we've got in the planning stages now. Shortly after those are completed, to arrange to have a new reserve study done. The last full visual inspection study looks like it was in 2014. 2017?
Yeah, it was for the 2017 year, and the date on the study was in October of 2016.
But no, that was an update. That wasn't a full visual. The full visual was in 2014. You'll well, I don't want to come up there and show you on the screen right now.
No, we're fine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, in 2014 December there was a full visual inspection done. In 2015 and 2016 that was updated with information submitted via spreadsheet. But the full inspection hasn't been done since 2014. And those are my 2 suggestions.
Thank you, Gary.
Anybody else have any comments? Okay. So we can go over to the approval of minutes. So which ones do you have for approval?
Okay, I have June 14th.
So our June 14 open meeting was the first open meeting after a series of 3 executive sessions. The Davis-Sterling Act requires that after an executive session, that the discussion items from the executive session be generally noted in the minutes of the next open meeting. Because of that rule, this June 14 set of minutes in the open meeting by state law is required to give the general notation of the items discussed in those 3 prior executive sessions. I see that they're partially done, but it's not completely done, and I think the time that was required to get that to the place it needs to be might not be honoring the time of the people sitting in this room. So my suggestion is that we hold the June 14 minutes until we have an opportunity to update them for approval appropriately.
Is that something that
So take the minutes to be very efficient.
no, I don't know.
I would like for us not to take that up tonight.
Okay.
That it's going to take a while.
I didn't understand what the man was saying, because I didn't realize that executive session was so I
Okay. We're doing first. During that, if everybody has gotten a copy of the contracts, there are some printouts here that we are going to discuss. Sorry, bids. So maybe we'll get some copies.
Thank you.
Go over them.
In fact, we've received 7 bids, and there are at least 20, if not more than 20 copies of each of the 7 bids. So if you haven't already gotten as many of the 7 as you would like to look at tonight, feel free to take more. There's also a cover page that hopefully you took that shows the listing of all 7, including the online links that are live now that allow you to go and any of your neighbors can go and look at any of these 7 bids. So when you go home tonight or tomorrow or over the weekend, if your neighbor's saying, hey, did you go to the meeting, did you see that stuff? You can show them and say, yeah, and here are the 7 links that you, Mr. or Ms. Neighbor, can go look at. Because we really want an open, transparent process whereby everyone has the opportunity to see all the bids that were presented and give your opinions. That's really important.
And they make great Christmas gifts. Never too early to do this.
When does the comment period end?
Well, this time,
August 16th is our next open meeting. And it's the hope that that gives people enough time, and that's 16 days from today, that would give people plenty of time to inform themselves, to read as much as they would like to read, to ask as many questions as they would like to ask, to speak with as many people as they would like to speak with, to talk to construction companies, to talk to their friend who does concrete for a living, talk to their other friend who has some other thing. This by 16 days, that gives people plenty of time to do all those things so that we can come and have an informed discussion on August 16th about what people think about these bids.
Thank you.
I have the same concern about the June 21 minutes. State law requires us to include certain information that's not in this draft, and in order to do it right, I'd like us to have enough time to do that.
Are these the only 2 minutes? Okay, so then we can move on to item number 5, committee reports. So we'll first go to the clubhouse exterior committee.
I'd like to make a quick request. I have a really small item that's shown as 5C, but it's just going to take a couple of moments, and I think 5A and 5B are going to take a very, very long time, as they should. So my request is to review 5C first.
Sure.
Okay, there are 2 possible appointments here. Our inspections committee currently is without a chair, and it needs to have a chair. And I do make a motion that we appoint Sherilyn Meadows as the chair of our inspections committee. I will say she has served on this committee for about 2 years. In fact, I believe a little more than 2 years. She's been doing a great job. I have great faith in her. I believe others do as well. I've spoken with a number of neighbors who are very supportive of her being in that role. I've asked her herself, she's comfortable in that role. And for all of these reasons, I would like to nominate her to chair the inspections committee.
is she in the room?
I don't know.
Anybody know her? Yeah, good.
Yes, I would second if I were up there.
I'll second it, then I guess
All
I.
right. So, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Excuse me, does
actually to be here?
She is not.
Is she approve of
Like, I've spoken with her and she is comfortable with that.
All right.
That was a good.
That's
That's what it should be if you're not here.
So she may come in a little bit later, we can surprise her. There's also been some discussion, I think everyone is aware that there's been discussion of renaming the inspections committee for a variety of reasons we won't get into now because I asked and I promised it would be really short. There's been a lot of discussion about renaming the inspections committee to upholding our neighborhood standards committee. I will say I've spoken to many folks about this, and there's a very positive sense because it's perhaps less confusing about the role of the committee, and perhaps it sounds less punitive and a little more doing the kinds of things that we want to be done. So I'm making the motion that we rename the inspections committee the Upholding Our Neighborhood Standards Committee.
You know, I like that. But I'd like a suggestion, because I think it's good to have a catchy kind of thing to it. So I would like to say, your neighbors taking action. And if you look at the letters, and then you use it as
It's
a...
Yenta!
Yenta.
Ah.
And what I said, no, Yenta is the Yiddish word for a busybody, so...
I'm writing UONS
I've been waiting all these
But,
months.
but a sensitive Sally might have a problem with that, so.
But if nobody else likes that, then...
I think that's
I like neighborhood standards committee, but if you want to put the other letters in front.
Make it small,
That's the
shorter.
motion on the table.
All right, so I'll second it.
Okay?
Okay, and then if there's any more discussion after a second.
Okay, and
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion carries.
And so just so, was it upholding neighborhood standards or just neighborhood standards?
Upholding our neighborhood standards.
I think it should be shorter,
how do you
but
pronounce it?
just neighborhood standards.
It's gonna be the UONSC.
It's okay.
We can still call it the Yenta.
So-
right? We can still say
We
the Yenta.
can.
So thank you for taking my out of order, and when we come back to after A and B, there's an appointment that I'd like to make, but we can,
Okay.
I'll
All
hold
right,
it.
all right.
Okay.
Okay, so the exterior committee, are you guys here?
So let's give a little background here. So the exterior committee,
Go ahead.
the clubhouse exterior committee was formed about 2 months ago, and it's been at work doing a lot of really important things that we really need on our clubhouse exterior. Many people are remembering that there was a lawsuit recently that involved the state of the pool deck. In the past several months, this clubhouse exterior committee has gotten started. They've looked at the scope that would be useful out here, not just limited to the areas where there are defects that we cited in the lawsuit, but other areas that may need to be improved or updated at the same time, just from a sense of expediency and efficiency. So Todd Wheeler was appointed the chair of that committee and has been working with his colleagues on the committee and has gotten 7, count them, 7 different bids. And they've brought those bids to us tonight, and Todd's going to be making a presentation. And Todd, take it away.
So we're kind of hoping to get the easy stuff out of the way first. We have the proposals for the painting of the exterior of the building, which are here. We have now unanimously decided to go with Painters Plus.
Your committee has.
Correct. Which is at $32,000, and that includes the repairs to the back stucco. Painting all the black lamp posts, painting all the doors, the gazebos, the trellises, fireplace, as well as everything else. It's 2 coats of paint, they're gonna be using on some areas that have the issues on this back wall, an elastomeric paint followed by a super paint to hold it. Sherwin-Williams is coming out to inspect them putting it on and to certify our 5-year warranty. And they were the low bidder for that. It's half of what the reserve study is, so we're hoping to get approval for that today so we can move forward with that.
I have some questions I'd like to ask, but I don't need to go.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you. I thought we were going to take the pool deck bids first, so all that intro that I gave was on a slightly different topic. This one's about the painting. So this is a contract for painting the exterior of this clubhouse. Is that
Correct.
Okay.
As well as the trellises, the gazebo, and all the light poles.
Okay. I think many of the people in the room are familiar with some of the problems currently that we have with our paint. In particular, this giant hole over here that when you're coming in from the pool area into the building, there's that big old hole that looks like somebody ran into it with a truck or something like that. So, Todd, this would take care of that issue as well?
Correct.
Okay.
That's also a 5-year warranty for the back.
Okay, 5-year warranty
Yeah,
on that?
so basically what they're gonna do is scrape off all the area that's failed up until it's good, which is pretty much that line that you see on the top.
Mhm.
And then they'll re-stucco that whole area. They'll do a little bit around the sides, and then they'll prime it with an elastomeric primer, elastomeric paint, and then they'll put the 2 coats of Sherwin-Williams super paint on top of that.
So which one is the best deal that we're getting?
Painters Plus.
Because I see some.
That's one of the only ones that included everything, including the stucco.
I see.
They're a local company, they hire people that actually live here, which is always a plus.
Live here meaning in Rancho
Anatolia.
Cordova or in Anatolia?
In Anatolia.
In Anatolia.
They are a Rancho Cordova company, but they have employees in Anatolia.
Awesome. And I see that they included contract language with their proposal, which is
Correct.
great, so that we could potentially do an approval contingent on legal review. So thank you for that, that's great. Do we know about how long it would take?
About 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks?
Yeah, and they will work around everything, so at most they keep one door shut at a time.
Okay.
So if they're working in that front, then we'll have to kind of, Jane will have to coordinate getting another, way in and out. But we asked them to do that and the back on a Monday when we're closed anyways, so. They've done shopping centers, they've done large projects, so they're used to kind of working around businesses and stuff like that.
I see about maybe 30 to 40 people in the room, I'm going to estimate. Are there questions? I see Sherry's hand. Would we recognize Sherry? Oh.
What is the option here? There are 2 options, right?
Correct. That's all included in the 32,000.
Both?
Yes.
Todd, I just have one question, because obviously we're going to have.
Hold on, just a quick sec.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
do you recognize Sherry?
Hold on. So, go ahead.
So obviously, we're gonna have construction going on out there, right?
Yeah.
So if they do this in 3 weeks and it's all beautiful, we have to be concerned with things getting chipped up when they start chipping around the gazebos, the
No.
concrete,
It's not gonna
all-
go that far.
That's all gonna be
Yeah.
protected then?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm good with this. So,
I
can
think we
pass a
lost
motion?
Mark.
So,
Oh, there's Mark.
Mark's in the back, so we can still do this.
All right,
If we make a motion, maybe we should make it contingent on legal review.
so, I'll make a motion to approve Painters Plus Inc. Proposal contingent on legal review. Everyone?
Oh, hold on. So I second.
And I vote.
So, everyone in favor?
Hold on. Can we make sure this is muted so that everyone can hear?
No, I was not here right now.
I can hear you back here.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, so the motion carries.
All right.
So,
Congratulations, Todd and Stephen and everyone on the exterior committee.
Bruce, do you have a copy of these?
No, Todd will give it, send me the email, and then,
So you can do a
so
copy?
if you could actually, here. If I could just take it and I can scan it and give it
Sure.
to Bruce.
Okay, so, but what's next on the?
I'm just
So-
trying to get this working.
Yeah, give them a second to do that. So I think what we're going to do next is go to the pool decking bids.
Sure, yeah.
So we try to make this quicker by putting it on a PowerPoint. So basically what we're going to be talking about is the general overview, pool area needs, bidding process that we did. GS Designs was the people that we chose. Greg is the owner. We'll talk about him a little bit. Key spending areas, pool equipment, and we already went over the paint. So these are some of the things that we looked at when we were trying to figure out who to choose: the license status, industry status, ability to understand what we need from them. We wanted to go over the key past building mistakes that we saw and found out that were made on the previous pool and why it failed. Make sure that the price is reasonable and within limits, and ability to improve our situation. So we did come up with a unanimous decision to use GS Designs. We also came up with a unanimous decision to recommend enlarging the pool and the spa, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We're still undecided yet on using an inspection company to watch over the work while they're doing it. That was something that we were going to kind of talk about and price out and pros and cons. The issues facing, it's not so much Anatolia, but mainly the pool area. The city enforcing ADAs is an issue. We have right now a letter from the head building inspector that he's not going to enforce ADA. We are still going to do common sense ADA upgrades to steps, stuff like that, anything that's in the area that we're doing. The only thing that we're not doing that meets full ADA in the area that we're doing is putting a lift on every single body of water. Full ADA requires a lift, including on the spas. So that is one thing that we're not recommending. We are going to recommend switching out the one lift on the very top, though. Winter time coming up is when we're going to try to do it and work around the winter. The closing of the pools and spas is obviously going to be an issue. We're talking about doing it in October, mid-October, after Oktoberfest. The front desk has been telling people ahead of time that kind of what's going on, if they want to rent the cabanas, to kind of keep that from, causing problems. And then one of the issues that we have obviously right now is the liability of the pool falling apart. So as we talked about, we got the city to agree no EADA major upgrades at this time. The one thing to note though is that he did say that they are actively talking about it with several places, several different agencies, and that could change at any given moment. If we have not pulled the permit by the time they make a decision, if it says that we have to go full ADA, then obviously we have to evaluate what to do at that point. But as of right now, we don't have to worry about that. So right now, we've been doing temporary repairs to the concrete, as you probably see in the back. We've been trying to keep it from getting worse, keep it from being a trip hazard, filling in all the holes, sealing them so they hopefully don't spread. And obviously, we need to speed up the process to try to get ahead of the city. Bid amount, we'll talk about. Everybody has a copy of that now. We're going to ask for contingency money on top of the bid amount because there are going to be unforeseens. We don't want to have to wait and go back to the board 4 days later and ask for money while everything's shut down. The pool contractor potentially just says screw it and leaves because we're taking too long to get more money for something that does pop up, which in construction happens all the time. The water feature design is not included in the bid. They're going to be doing a base. The price that we have right now includes kind of a base wall, and then we've decided to try to create something different, utilizing everybody's input and kind of putting together some different dates when everybody can get together and put kind of their input on how they want to see that back wall. One of the thoughts was to put Anatolia across. That came from the old board, that kind of how they saw doing it. We felt like that was kind of the best way to go forward, was to get rid of the sheer descents so it's not causing all the white behind it, and then to kind of just make it a different face. We felt like that was a good idea that they had, and we kind of wanted to run with that. Talking about the reserve amounts, I talked a little bit with Gary, and we went over kind of some of the money stuff, and I kind of want to point out that as of right now, we're asking for right around $600,000 for most of the work. We have $400,000 sitting in an account right now towards that. That leaves a $200,000 deficit. But when you start looking at the reserve components, you'll see that a lot of that money also falls into that. So we have money in the reserves. We have over $650,000 as of today in the reserve fund. So when you add in the $400,000 plus like this, you got $10,000 here just in tile and for the waterfall, and you have all this stuff that's kind of in there, most of it with the 1 or 2 year useful life that we're talking about replacing. You'll see that we almost get close to fully funding the whole thing without asking for any money from anybody, or any loans that everybody seemed to get upset about or anything else. So between the $400,000 and this, we feel like there's more than enough money to cover the cost of it. And here's just some of the other stuff. So talk about GS Designs a little bit. We met with the owner, Greg, several times. I talked to him a little bit to kind of ask some of his highlights of his background. He's a subject matter expert for the contracting board, which basically means is when the contracting board goes to arbitration with somebody over a pool design, he's the expert that they go to find out why it wasn't done right, was it done right, whose fault was it. That was a huge selling point for us, and why we chose GS Designs was the fact that this is the guy that the contracting board listens to. He's been in the industry since 1974. He's been licensed since 1982. Every committee member that talked to him felt comfortable with him. He was, told us things that we don't need to do, told us things that we should do. And he had great recommendations. He actually came from our new pool service company. The owner of the new pool service company said that we really need to kind of include this guy, so we extended the bid date 2 weeks so we could include him, and we're all pretty glad that we did. He's one of the few that would do the whole pool and the decking themselves. They would not split it up. You'll see a lot of as you try to go through the bids, you'll see some of them are just for the decking, some of them are just for the pool. We liked kind of the way the Gordian was set up, where it's one shop does it all. We're not trying to be out there trying to manage all these people and putting them in, and having all these issues come up. So we did want that one-stop shop. We still looked at the other way because we did want to make sure that we did our due diligence and make sure that there wasn't a significant savings by splitting it up. We found that there was no savings. And the other reason was his experience. He would, just add on to that, he's not the low bidder. The low bidder would have been Hammerhead Pools. Not by much, but the Hammerhead Pools, there was kind of...
I think that was bid number 6 for people who are looking at the numbering. Can someone confirm that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So those two were kind of the closest, and the reason why, again, we chose GS over it is with Hammerhead, we kind of got mixed messages. We didn't feel 100% comfortable.
Hammerhead also couldn't do the decking.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. And Hammerhead at the last minute pulled out of the decking. But with them using somebody else, they're right about there, so Pam's right on that. They pulled out at the last minute on that, which was kind of something to look at. So the goals for the construction would obviously be speed. Speed's really going to be dependent on the weather, since we are trying to do this in winter. Everything is going to be weather dependent. They need 3 to 4 months. They are going to stage, and they were one of the few people, in fact I think the only one that was willing to stage it, no extra charge, splitting up the pool areas. So they will leave one pool area open, work on the other, and then they'll flip-flop it. Another thing to note that GS Designs was the only one that included doing the kiddie pool concrete patio at the same time. We originally were going to kind of keep that out because of the cost savings and maybe do it later, but when the city came and we were walking with the city to try to talk about ADA and stuff like that, they did notice that there were cracks that were going to put it out of compliance, and we potentially had some liability there. So he was kind of, I think, screwed up and added it in when we didn't ask him, but we decided to run with it since we were kind of going with him anyways. So quality, obviously we've talked to him about quality being the number one, thing that we're looking for. Quality's a good reason why the last one, didn't work. I went out here myself with some of my survey equipment, and we don't have the slopes that we need or are supposed to have, or that are even on the plans. So it just wasn't built right. Right now it should be, sloping at about a quarter inch for every foot, and there are some areas where it actually sloped backwards. They are willing to include some extra drainage. So there's some points, like if you look on this side of the pool, where there's this, fixed point here and a fixed point here, and what do you do when you have two fixed points? Well, what we're talking about doing is adding on another drainage. So we'll kind of slope everything towards that middle, towards that drain, rather than trying to kind of push it all the way back farther than it needs to go. So we're looking for lasting results. We're looking to minimize unforeseen costs. We've had him out here 3 different times to try to kind of make sure that we have everything that we need. He has everything we need. There's not going to be surprises. We're going to keep minimal disturbance to members and neighbors. By doing that, kind of keep the working hours within reasons for the neighbors behind. Try to keep it, one pool open for the members. Try to, kind of work around that. There'll be certain times when it might be a little bit hard, and unfortunately you have to shut the whole thing down. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often. And just, kind of being open and transparent. We'll try to keep some kind of channel, whether it's through Nextdoor, access to the website where, if there is going to be a closure coming up because he needs to have the whole thing coming in, that we can let everybody know. Other expenses that we see, I didn't bring it today, but on the 16th I am going to ask for $30,000 for Leslie's pool supply to do the equipment. We've already got the Painters Plus, so we don't have to worry about that. One thing that we noticed when we're going through all these bids is the equipment cost was outrageous. It was, most of it was in the figures. And then I happen to be hanging out with a friend of mine who works at Leslie's down in San Jose, and she says, I just decided to kind of, show her and see what she says, and she says, no, wait, Todd, you can replace everything you have, I can guarantee you for less than that. So she recommended her counterpart up here who came out, and he recommended replacing certain stuff that needs to. There's 3 heaters that need to be replaced. 2 heaters right now don't work. They haven't worked all year long. We've been saying that we're heating the pool, we're not. It just hasn't been done, hasn't been working for probably,
So it was on, it just wasn't on.
Well, no, it's not even just on, it won't even go on. So they want to replace the one big heater with 2 small heaters like we've done with the other pool, and replace the other heater. We've also asked them to identify things that, what he would do. Rather than just replacing pumps that are good, he said, no, let's not do that. Let's replace the 3-phase larger pumps with just new motors, buy the new backup motors, have them sitting in there, and that way if they do break, you're only down 24 hours versus replacing the whole thing. We were looking at variable speed motors to try to save. Apparently that's not such a good idea because of regulations and turnover rates and stuff like that. Most people shut us down on wanting to do that. So we decided to go with Leslie's, and they're also going to give us on some of the pumps that don't have parts that are readily available. They made us a little supply list of parts that we should have, that are kept in the storage area. So the point of that is that we'll have everything nice, new, working, and we'll have the ability to, if something breaks down, have it fixed within 24 hours. That was kind of our goal, rather than spending $100,000 and getting all new equipment. Spend 30 and then we should be good for another 10 years. We decided against the pool filters also. A lot of people said, oh no, you need new filters. He came out and said, Todd, filters have, the technology hasn't changed in 20 years. You put sand in it, it goes through it, there's no technology there. Don't change it, there's no reason to. You're cheaper to kind of replace a couple things if you have to. Cover them so they're not getting damaged, and keep a couple spare parts on. Within the next year we are going to ask and this will be an expense that we don't have yet, but it'll be probably, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to replace all the media. So that is gonna be something that is gonna come up, that's, really a maintenance item that should have been done a long time ago anyways. This was talking about the paint, which we don't have to worry, because we got that. And that's about it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I did notice, I looked at the review that they didn't have anything about access through the wall and taking all that down. Is that something they're gonna?
Correct, so the exact same way you guys are gonna, we piggybacked off a lot of your guys' ideas, and we took a lot of your ideas and moved it in, so it will be that exact same wall, exact same
Because
thing.
the blocking, I found the colors for it, but down they're using the same color on their walls down there, so they got it available.
Perfect, yeah, he's gonna include, I should have mentioned that, thank you for bringing that up. He's gonna include taking down the wall, putting up the wall, landscaping is not included, we do landscaping afterwards. So that will be another contingency expense that we need ahead of time.
So what we are going to do is, if you have any legal questions, then you can go ahead and ask those questions. But any other questions that you have about this, we'll be having another meeting on the 16th. So that will give you guys time to review these bids, and maybe we can have more meaningful questions at that.
and I'd like to thank Todd and the committee. So, please notice a few things. First, this is an ask. Tonight is an ask. It's not a tell. No one here is saying this is going to happen. What's happening is Todd and his committee are bringing this information to the board with a recommendation, and the board is asking our neighbors, the community, what do you think? We're giving a period of 16 days, a little more than 2 weeks, for people to come up with your own questions. Please read these bids. Please look at what Todd's done. I believe he's posting that PowerPoint online. As I said before, all 7 of the bids are available online. We'd like to hear your thoughts. We'd like to hear your questions. Todd, I understand you're available for questions during the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so on Nextdoor is my email address and cell phone number, so. But one thing I'd like to add that you brought up is, when you say ask, people gotta understand that the pool is falling apart. There's a big chunk now missing right in the back skimmer. I showed it to you, so.
Yes, you did.
While we're, again, politicalizing everything, it's gotta be done. I mean, it's gotta be done, so.
So, just one quick question, Todd. So, I know you mentioned that you're looking at some management companies, but you're kind of on the fence on that. But I would recommend that you guys consider, hiring a.
Yeah, the problem is that getting people to take us serious when we keep waiting so long and waiting so long and waiting so long, it's extremely tough to get people to come out. A lot of the people that we contacted were people that Gordian already bid. Gordian put this out to bid. Gordian already got a lot of these people to bid this work. And we had, I think, 3 people that refused to work with us just because they felt like they put in all the effort, put in all the time, and then ultimately, we walked away from it. And so we don't want to start talking to people prematurely. I mean, we'd rather wait until you guys have decided that you guys are going to do something about this before we move on. There's plenty of time to make that happen. So there will be, at least a few months. They've got to start doing designing and stuff like that. One other thing I forgot to mention is the reason why we want to enlarge the pool, bringing it to the one side, and there'll be storyboards here tomorrow. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to swing by and pick them up today to show what it's doing. But we're going to enlarge one side of the pool, enlarge the spa, the downstairs spa, to twice the size that it is today, considering that we have almost 20% more people coming in the near future. So that price also includes that. So he did include that price in that.
No, that's.
The only thing that may not be included is if the permits go over what they've estimated.
So I'm good with all that, but I just want you guys to make sure that we have a person to manage that contract, and it's not hiring a person to just.
We have some options if necessary.
Right.
We will pass a motion that says that we want a construction manager. So it's not a question, we were waiting to hear what you had to say about it, and we've now heard that. So you should know, we want a construction manager. If somebody doesn't want to work with us because they were part and party with something that took place 6 months ago for twice the amount of money, good, we don't want them. We'll get somebody new, but we have to have a construction manager for the project.
First, you have to okay the project before you know.
Oh,
the
wait.
management company.
Todd, you did beautiful work. You guys, the whole committee did great work. Right? And that, we will approve it.
Okay.
You know, but we have to vote on it. But look, we're obviously gonna move forward, but we wanna hear what everybody has to say.
So are you guaranteeing us a vote on the 16th?
One way or the other, yes.
One way or the other.
One way or the other.
So I think I was to say that the storyboards, are you planning to get those posted about tomorrow, approximately tomorrow?
Yeah.
So if people want to see the visual of what we're talking about, because we're talking about some big configuration changes. We're changing the size of the pool, we're changing the shape of the pool, we're changing the size of one of the spas. So people who want to see how that'll look will have the ability to come and see those storyboards. And will they be up for the next couple of weeks till the 16th?
Yeah, you gave it on me.
Where are they gonna do it?
Anywhere they want.
Yeah, so that was one of my two questions, was, are we gonna be able to see, like, what is the stamped concrete gonna look like or something, just so that we have a visual of, and maybe I missed it because I had to step out for my daughter. But the second thing was, I think, he's correct, and we kind of need a decision come August 19th, because I'm concerned that how long it's gonna take for us to make a vote, pass it, and if it takes them 3 or 4 months, weather permitting, can they start right after August 16th and start getting this worked on this winter, right?
We're talking about starting in
So,
October and
So-
having it open before the season starts
He's
next.
giving us
Right.
till the 16th to hold the date. Past the 16th,
Okay.
if somebody else comes in.
So I'd really like to see that happen.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question. On this bid that we receiving, it's for plaster. Have you guys ever thought about getting Pebble Tech bids as well?
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't
It
do
has
that.
to be white. Code is it has to be white.
Okay, and what is the lifeline on plaster? Because I know plaster with chip is within 15 years because of the chlorine. So in 15
About 15
years,
years.
we'd be looking at this again.
Correct. Without the deck. So there's a lot of modifications in there that we won't quite have, and that's what the research study will be for, is the,
And there's no white Pebble Tech?
no, it has to be white, plain plaster, because they want, the rationale is they want to be able to have a kid be seen if the kid floats to the bottom of the pool.
In response to what Mark was saying about a project manager, we've already talked to Lori. They have people that we can get through them, but everybody needs to understand that the cost of that project manager is 2 to 4% of the total contract. So that's additional money that will have to be paid on top of what we're asking for in the $650. We'll have to pay another 2 to 4%.
Okay, sounds good. So then we'll take questions and comments on the 16th, not today.
But in the meantime, as you heard Todd say, he's welcoming comments. He's posted his email address on Nextdoor. And do ask your questions, because we definitely want to get that vote taken on August 16th.
Can I just ask a quick question? Do we have enough money for the project, or would that encounter having to go up on our HOA too?
That's a great question. I want to speak to that directly. He mentioned some conversations that he had had with Gary, who has some expertise in finance. I also want to point out that I've had conversations with Adam Haney, who is our professional accountant with the CID Consortium. And I've spoken with him about this in terms of, can we afford it? Does it put us in a difficult situation, a precarious situation? Is it spending too much? And I've spoken with him about this, given all the information that we have. And he and I are both quite comfortable that we can afford this. This is within our means. And as you've heard and as you've observed, we need it. And we needed it years ago. We definitely need it right now. So it is the opinion of our professional accountants that this is not overspending, it's not overextending.
Shouldn't we be getting the new dues from Lennar now that they've sold one house there, at least for that certain group?
So that's a great question that Brian asks. The dues that we pay are set each year in approximately November of the prior year. So the dues that we're paying in 2018 were established back in 2017 in November. So this coming November, the board at that time will be asked, what shall the dues be for 2019? So as we sit here today, we can't really say what those people will say in the future.
That's not what I...
Yeah, so I was giving background to your question.
Okay.
So Lennar, as Brian is saying, is now starting to sell their homes in the Sierra neighborhood. Those are part of our HOA. So as a home sells, those buyers become owners. Those owners, by owning, are now part of our homeowner association. Yes, they are paying dues to our association.
It's more, all they gotta do is sell one house and Lennar's gotta come up with for like 12 houses, or they sell them in groups that way rather than one by one. So actually, we'll be getting a bigger boost anytime, really.
Well, I just wanted to point out to folks that when the home sells, those buyers, that family, becomes a member of our HOA.
Yeah.
They do pay the $115 right now. Based on whatever happens this coming November, they will pay in 2019 whatever we're paying, whether it goes up, down, or stays the same. They'll be paying the same. And they will have rights to visit our clubhouse. They will be members just like all of us are. They will be coming to our pool. So we can expect that the demand on our pool and on our clubhouse is going to bump up a little bit. Also, with this construction and us having a nicer facility, we can expect that the usage might bump up because of that as well. We probably get fewer people coming to a crappy looking pool than we will when it's looking a little bit nicer. So there are at least two reasons why we can expect a little bit of an increase in the demand. And that's part of the reason, Todd, would you agree, part of the reason why the expansion of the pool size was considered. Could you also tell folks about the two corners on that clover leaf pattern? What's happening to the other two corners?
Yeah, so basically when you have the clover leaf,
right,
we're going to go from one middle, basically the pool rounded, go out 10 feet and round it all the way to the next corner. So one side's going to be completely rounded. And then you're going to have those other two corners, we're going to pretty sharply rounded, but right now they're a point. And we've heard about kids, hitting their heads on it, swimming into it, getting hurt. So we've asked him to round it within reason without reconstructing. So he's going to round those corners. And one thing I'd ask is if I can go out there with white paint one day and actually mark the limits so people can actually go out and see for themselves in the pool what it's going to look like.
I think it's an awesome idea. Does anyone have any concerns about that?
Very good idea. A good visual.
All right.
Okay.
So Craig, I have a question. I know that the last time we were talking about doing the outside and the inside. So is the painting only for the exterior, and is the interior included in the painting that?
I don't think you could have asked for a better segue to what's coming next.
So that is our
Mark,
next,
the president.
that is the next agenda item, right? So is the interior committee here?
Aaron wanted me to present for him because he can't be here.
Okay.
So could you state your name and
Yeah.
tell us who Aaron is and what he's...
So Aaron's the president for the Interior Committee, and I'm Tom on the committee with Pat and John here, and Sherry. So what we've done is we met several times, and we've listed the priorities of the concerns of the clubhouse. And what we started with is reupholstering all the furniture.
Yay.
So they started pulling all that.
Did you notice that the chairs there are gone? They've been taken out. They're in the shop right now, and they're coming back within a few days.
So over the next few weeks, they're going to just keep pulling everything until it's all redone.
Nice.
Then they'll be bringing in a new card table upstairs to replace the one that's up there.
So by the time we come back on August 16th, we can expect quite a lot of things looking much nicer.
Yeah, these will all be redone.
Leather.
So, So one of the concerns we saw was we want to start with safety as one of the priorities. So we felt that the yoga floor needs to be replaced. So we're going to be going with, we recommend to go with a company that's going to give us a 25-year warranty versus everybody else's a 10-year. And that's, you guys have the bids there. So we had, this is Prestige Flooring is who we're recommending. We had S&G come out. We had Optifit come out. 5-Star Restoration gave a bid, and Every Detail Construction. So the bids went with the one we're going with for 25 years was $5,400, and the most expensive was $21,000. So, yeah.
So which one are you recommending?
Prestige for the $5,400.
So some people have asked, are you going to go through the same like 2-week comment period on the interior items? I'll give my personal opinion. As important as this is, and this is super, super important, it's probably not rising to the same level, it's obviously not rising to the same level of dollars that the pool is. It has not been subject to litigation the way the pool has. We'd really like to get going on this. I'm certainly open, and I imagine others on the board are open too, but for my own personal opinion, I'm comfortable getting votes tonight on this and not waiting until the 16th.
So I'll wait for you to.
I'll second that motion.
Well, I didn't make a motion.
I withdraw my seconding.
Take it away.
Okay, and then the next, yeah.
So I just would say that as long as you're in budget, I mean, we're grateful to have courtesy, but I think you should proceed if you guys are satisfied.
You don't need our vote.
You don't need our vote. You don't. I mean, we're glad to have your.
Oh, good.
We're glad to have us involved, but if it's in budget, I mean, I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
It is, but let Tom present to the folks who are here.
Yeah.
But thanks for your confidence.
Yeah.
So then the next thing that we looked at is our gym equipment. It was purchased in 2005. I've had 3 vendors out, and all of the equipment life is usually about 5 years on those treadmills. We've got a lot of life out of them. What's happening now is when they break, they're expensive, and it's like a car, and we've already had a few replaced twice, so we're dumping about $1,000. So I had a bunch of companies come out, and the best one that we're recommending is to go with Optifit, who we have the purchase the matrix through right now. So what they're willing to do is it lists for $8,900, and they're willing to drop it down to $5,300. The study, the reserve study, budgeted about $4,700 for these items. The good thing is the warranty on these, they come with 3 years, and that's a good industry. The person that monitors or does our maintenance on it, he's been with all of the companies that I've got the bids from. He said this matrix is the best. And he would recommend that we go, since we got that many years out of it, to stay with this same one. There's a competitor from Precor that was about $200 less, but the motor's a 4-horse. This one's a 5-horse. The warranty on that's 3 years, so I mean, you can just see the wear and tear. You're gonna want the heavier duty motor. So.
Just to put a little addition in there, to get the motor and belt replaced, that's why the 2 machines are down right now. It's $867 each for each treadmill. So you're looking at $1,600
right.
just to repair 2 of the elements.
And the problem with that is, like David, who does the maintenance, said they're so old. He puts a new part on there. The other parts that are worn, you've got a new part that's torquing on the worn parts. Boom! All of a sudden, now he's back out, and it's another $800. Because each time he comes out, it's about $800. It's pretty much, that's the set rate for parts.
What does that include? Just replacing the treadmills?
Yes. So what we wanted to do with the gym is to go at a staged level. Is first, because The items that are used the most are the cardio equipment, and out of the cardio, the treadmills are almost running the whole time. Like every time I spent a whole afternoon here with all the vendors on a Friday, those treadmills were hardly stopped. All throughout the day, somebody was on them running, so.
Through the high demand.
That's the high demand, and all the vendors say that's normal in all gyms and all clubhouses, that's the normal use. They recommend that we have a lot of single units in there. They're recommending us looking at doing combination units, so like instead of just a flexion and extension machine, to do that in one. And so they've drawn out, two vendors have drawn out the clubhouse and how you can put more, I guess like TRX is more of a modern system to use with resistance bands and stuff like that to kind of get our gym up to date, because that a lot of our equipment, the company doesn't even make it anymore. So that's another problem that we have. After 5 to 7 years, they stop making the equipment. So when you stop making the equipment, when it breaks, he has to bring it to a welder, and the guy has to jerry rig it together to see if it'll work. And then he brings it back, and we don't know how long that's gonna last.
Okay.
So then we start having issues with that, and then that'll, like he said, then it changes the torque, and the person doing the weights and doing resistance starts to change all the angles on it, so.
Okay.
So the OptiFit bid here is with the installation, what they recommend is to do 3 treadmills, because if we buy one new treadmill, everybody's gonna get on the new treadmill and you're gonna break the new treadmill. They're gonna all just line up behind the new one and just wait. And, okay, I'm gonna get, and then that thing. So they said the best is to do like 3, and then like each month after that, get another one in till all 6 are replaced. Is the best way to do it, because then that way you've got all 6 taken care of. They also recommend repositioning some of our equipment. They put a brand new stepper in. The problem is where the stepper is, it's right in front of 2 treadmills, and a lot of the women won't get on there because if there's 2 guys on the treadmill, they're looking right at the woman's butt, and so they're like, they don't use it, and it's brand new and it's just sitting there. And they'll use the stepper, which is ready to be replaced too. So the stepper is broken. It's about to break. It's rusting through. Well, it's just a matter of fact.
It is. I have a question. So you're gonna make it so are they gonna make it so they can connect the headsets so you can actually hear the TV?
The TV and the treadmills don't have anything that doesn't.
Non-noise.
That would be more of the, you know how if you put on the FM station, you can hear the TV channel?
Yeah.
That's what she was asking about. The treadmills aren't going to have that. I didn't think you wanted to have the treadmill with a TV screen when you have the TV screen right there.
Yeah.
And that's quite of a bit expense.
Can you connect the treadmill up to the TV?
No, the treadmill can have an option of a TV on it,
Right.
but they don't. It doesn't connect over. But it will have, you can connect your phone to it and charge it. The new things have a lot of interactive, that you can do your workout with an app and stuff. The new ones, this stuff, it's a little bit more current.
So this is 5,400 per treadmill?
Yes.
Right.
Was that your question?
Thank you.
Oh.
So will you be able to plug in to the equipment and listen to the TV?
No, the TV and the treadmills don't have anything.
Okay,
Yes.
then the other thing is, what about the elliptical machines? Those are in bad shape.
They're on the list, but we thought like the first thing to do was the treadmills, because they're always used. But the cardio will include the replacement of those as well.
Because
So-
I go to another gym because those are so bad.
Yeah,
I won't
they're
use them now
they're
because
clicking, the bearings are going on. So I just thought that we would be best to start with that. And then as they're getting the bid of the equipment, then we're gonna present that next level for them to move forward on that, but.
Then one more question. What did you consult with the instructors for the gym as far as the floor?
Yes, and yes, they have been asking for a wood floor because there's things that aren't too good about the carpet, so
Okay, thank you.
we'll get into that. Since they're at, when I first started the bidding process, no treadmills were broken. There's already 2 broken. They're at the end, they're way beyond their life expectancy. And so, you know, like if we just replace 2 of those right now, pretty much another one's gonna go, where the ellipticals were just worked on.
You said every month after that, you're gonna replace it with new.
Yeah, that's the recommendation to the board, to keep each
It won't
month.
be long after that you'll have new replacements.
Yeah. if you
Yes,
go back into
yes.
Now we are going to the lifetime, it's a lot more expensive because of the equipment anyway. Coming in one of these months can get it.
So we're
So
gonna.
tell us your recommendation.
So we're recommending to go with OptiFit.
OptiFit?
And to order the 6 treadmills, if you guys wanna do 3 first and then
Do we have the
month.
money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
I asked her about that.
So Mark, do you want to see a copy of this before we,
No, I'm
perfect?
good. Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that I am making a motion that we approve this OptiFit for the price on this.
3 treadmills.
6, that's for 6.
For 6 or 3?
Mhm.
I'm comfortable approving the 6 and letting
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom and the committee set the timing.
Okay, yeah, so you second?
That's my motion.
I'll second.
So, everyone in favor?
Flooring.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Right.
Okay, so the motion.
All
carries.
right, motion carries.
Great team here.
What about the flooring?
Yeah, tell us about flooring.
Okay, go ahead with question.
Oh,
The Prestige, that's the first thing I talked about.
Mhm.
Right.
So this comes with a 25-year warranty, it's talking to me over here. And with this, it's gonna come, it's waterproof, and they're gonna put a rubber lining underneath this. I've seen 2
Is it
gyms.
wood or
Yeah,
damaged?
it looks like it, but it's a waterproof vinyl.
Okay.
And so I've looked at 2 gyms where this is installed. He had me go out and look at them, and looks really good. And what's that? The yoga room. They're gonna remove the carpet.
so you've spoken with some of the users in there? You
Yes.
mentioned the instructors?
Yes.
Have you spoken to others who are using
Yes.
it?
There's a gentleman in here that goes in.
Tom, you missed yoga.
Yes, I did, I was here. So, Jack, he comes to the yoga, it's twice a week, and he noticed that there's smells and stuff coming from the carpet. Yeah, and it's time that because of, there's no real way to prevent someone from sweating or spilling or anything, and it's just so much use, and sanitation is so much easier to clean this.
So I know that one of the user groups is Taekwondo. So
Yes.
how would the Taekwondo folks be able to use this?
So there are mats that we will be able to get, interlocking mats,
Mhm.
and we're working with them because they can get it at almost 50% less of a cost. So we're working with that family who, I think it's the O'Briens that
Mhm.
come in, and Aaron knows them personally, and they gave us a price of half of it. So instead of me getting a quote, we're just waiting to work with them because it's gonna be, the quote I got was 2,000, theirs is gonna be roughly 1,000, 1,200.
So I think
So
what we're
that's
hearing
for
is
mats.
the Taekwondo people like it, the aerobics instructors like it,
Yeah.
and Jack likes it.
I like it.
She likes it.
And this price includes them ripping out the nasty?
Yes,
and so it's
everything.
all gone and-
Everything. And they're gonna put a quarter round wood at the border around it, so finish it off.
I mean, this is a really good price.
Yeah, and it's a local company, and it's German Flooring, who's a very reputable flooring installer. And so,
How soon can you get it done?
he thinks maybe 6 weeks out. He's just busy right now. So, and it's like, he was ready to go with us earlier, but I said, you know, the meetings kind of got kicked out, so we lost our spot of where it was. Because he was,
So I can.
nothing we could do about that, right? We just have to
You gonna make the motion?
We gotta roll with it, right? Flexibility.
So I'll make a motion to approve Prestige flooring to replace the yoga and aerobics
Second.
flooring.
Second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so the motion carries.
Awesome.
Cool.
You got more?
I didn't have a cool presentation. But look at the scene behind. Yeah.
All right, so is
Thanks
that-
a lot, Tom.
Yeah.
Great job, great job.
Yeah, and the other things, we're still in the process of bids for the painting. Someone asked about the interior painting.
Yeah, me.
Yes, so we're getting bids for that too. So we're in that process.
And are we buying more chairs, apart from this one that we're trying to do for first weekend?
Are we ordering more chairs?
Yeah, more chairs, like.
We didn't order any
Because we know
more.
that some of the chairs are broken.
The-
You know.
There was only one broken chair, and they've taken that to repair that. The 3 chairs that have wicker back are being thrown away, and we replace it with 3 brand new chairs. So those were,
And then with the yoga, since you're replacing the floor, are you know, we're going to have like an instructor that will be for like beginners, class, because I've gone to this one and, I can't lift my leg over my head.
oh, you're talking about the yoga classes.
Yeah.
But Jack, you could speak on that. I mean, everyone isn't at full advanced level when they do yoga in there. People
Yes, they are.
He's going to show you how he wraps his leg around his head.
We don't have enough guys going to yoga. There's a reason for that.
I have a feeling once this floor gets replaced, more people are gonna wanna come and use the yoga room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have enough members
Yes.
that can do.
I think Sherry's got it.
Yeah. And we've ordered a new bench, and we've ordered some new weights and bands for the ripped and the boot camp classes that needed some extra equipment for those classes, so.
The Zumba class.
Yep, and the Zumba, because Michelle asked, who's one of the instructors, for more equipment, so she's starting with that, and she's gradually going to ask for more, and I said, what's your main need right now? And she let me know, and I let Lori know, and it just was delivered today, so.
So, Tom, could you take just a couple of minutes really quickly and tell people a little more about the committee's longer-term vision of things that
Sure.
aren't being talked about and approved tonight?
So, what we did is we went through the whole clubhouse and we listed everything. The things that we're also going to be looking at, besides the painting, is making sure the security cameras are all up. Also, the fireplaces, that they're all repaired and that they'll be centrally operated from the front desk. So they'll be able to turn them on and off from there, so that there won't be an issue with fireplace being left on or any thing put in the fireplace, those kind of things. Some of the other things was the child care area. There was some chipped wood and the locks weren't working. Sherry was working and Pat were working on that. Okay, so that's already fixed. The electrical is, Lori's got a electrician that's going through. Do you want me to tell them about that?
I can tell you really fast for the, all of these cam lights up here, there's a lot of them. I can't remember how many, I think I told you. The ballasts on them are at the end of their life, and so they're all going out systematically. And so I got a bid, and hopefully we're going to approve that tonight, I think we are, to replace them all. Unfortunately, they were more expensive than your regular cam lights. They're a little different, and then the ones with the red dots are the emergency ones, and so those are a little bit more. But I asked to have them all done at once, which will save you in the end, because each time they go out, we have to have an electrician come and change them. And so we'll save that, because it'll just be one lump, and changing them to LED, which will make the life of the bulbs much longer. So that's today, 152 of them. 152.
And I believe you mentioned that since those are LED, they're going to be saving us quite a bit in the long term.
They're gonna save you in electricity, and they're gonna save you in having to replace them, that you won't have to replace them as often. It's a lot longer life.
So that was an outtake of the...
Yeah, and then we've got a company that's working on the HVAC, so to fix those units and get those up. There's just been a lot of maintenance issues that weren't taken care of before, kind of like it's kind of a common theme. And so they're getting all those things up, and they're changed all the filters, they're servicing stuff, looking at how to address the concerns in the kitchen and how to better work with the ventilation system. And go ahead.
I just want to say, and thanks to Todd, he actually found the as-built plans for the HVA system instead of just the normal pink ones that were supposed to be. So now the HVAC guy will be able to come back and look at the actual as-bills. And you're
Your
able to
guy
find all
was
the
here
units.
and he was crawling around.
For hours trying to
Looking
find.
for the HVAC unit that's clogged, and that's why it's dripping out there and why the snapper is not ventilating correctly, so.
Because he wasn't able to find it, but now that we have the as-bills, he can come back with the as-bills and get the job done.
It's always helpful to have the plans when you don't know the
Well, he
building.
looked at the plans,
But it's not the same.
but it's not built
Yeah.
to the plan.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
It's never good to
All
go.
right, so do you have?
Can I talk? So while we're on HVAC, I know a lot of people have been asking about this for a lot of years, so I want to maybe give you an opportunity. You know the window over there by the outdoor showers? Where
Yes.
there's that drip?
Yes.
That we've all seen for years and years and years. Can you
So
tell us about what's
the-
causing that and what we can do
The
about it?
problem is, you're not supposed to see that unless there's a clog. There's an actual drain when the condenser unit's pulling the moisture out of the air, and it drains out, and when it's clogged, that's an overflow to tell you it needs to be maintained. It's been dripping so long that it's coming inside the yoga room. So that's a long time for that to occur.
So am I correct then, because this is what I've heard, so I'm asking, that the solution to that is we have an HVAC problem? And when we
Yes.
solve the HVAC
Yeah.
problem, then that would stop the dripping issue?
Yes.
And then we would, okay.
He just needs to find the unit
And blow out the air
It's
line.
just an air compressor and blowing
Yeah.
out the unit to get the clog out.
It's
and it will
just
stop it.
clogged
But he
up with
couldn't
stuff.
find it.
Yeah.
He was able to,
Hours of looking.
Yeah.
he was able to blow this one out, so this one stopped dripping on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
So
spent
it's
hours
just
trying to find
maintenance, and
the
that's what he said. He said this place is, it's a long time since they've changed just the filters and stuff. too.
Well, we're fixing that.
Yeah.
He has he's got it on his schedule to fix filters and everything.
So it's
Awesome.
like just the plumbing things, and I think you have the plumber coming out too to fix the stuff that we found.
Some of it, and he's.
I gave her a whole I emailed her a whole list of what we found, and so she's just going through the list and correcting all those.
Gary has a question.
What about the window coverings?
Window coverings.
We're not replacing, the only one that we found is in the yoga room where it's broken. A couple of the wands, we don't have them, so we're just getting bids for that.
Yeah, just the discussion about all the difficulty in finding the right plan or whatever. Was that stuff not covered in this maintenance manual that we just had?
No,
Nope.
the as-bills were not put in the maintenance manual.
So are we changing this to, like, if you're changing the lights and the recessed lights and all that, are we changing this to like?
Yeah, everything's gonna go to
like
LED,
Chandelier or something?
LED lights.
No, I'm talking about the covering.
Oh, the covering? No, we're not changing the coverings.
So do you have anything else?
I mean, that's pretty much the main pieces.
So do you
Is
have?
that good?
Can I just say, I got together with Lori, and Sherry and I both got together with Lori, and we went over one or two other points too that people might be interested in. A lot of the faucets had issues with the taps themselves not working or the faucets not working. She's had a lot of those fixed. We were able to repair one of the broken bathrooms in the ladies' shower bathroom. One was waiting for some new parts. We also took a look at the shower room itself because in the one half of the shower it's broken. We're going to see about getting that replaced. Looking at extra mats because the floor is so slippery. So there's a lot of other things that are going on as well. that Lori's been working on with us to get those things done. And they're things that probably people aren't noticing, but
Little
they're
things.
being done. They're the little
Yeah,
things.
little
And the
things,
same as in the
and
kids'
then
room.
looking at converting those massage rooms into steam and sauna, so we're in the process of getting bids for those as well.
And those were full of boxes of
And they're-
who knows what, and Lori's emptied all
Yes!
those out.
Yay!
So if I could ask for one thing to be added, we're still using Mark's personal video equipment to record this. Can we add that into the interior stuff, is setting up some kind of, Anatolia home video equipment?
What about Zoom too, where then you could interact from
However you
home
wanna do it.
and you could be online and
But
there's,
we need the
you can,
equipment, yeah. That's what he's asking. So the camera or,
yeah, or any laptop.
Yes.
yeah, so you can add it and your list and maybe do some research on that.
Sure.
But I think the security cameras.
Yeah, we have
Should be one of
Yeah.
the top priorities. Because
That's
the security
coming
cameras
up
we have
next.
right now are Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And we need hardwired cameras. So
Yeah.
that's, I'm glad I heard that on your list.
Yeah, that's on the list. Did you see the list I
Yes,
sent?
thanks.
Yeah, I just had a comment about the money that might be of interest to everybody. The reserve study that we're currently working with had $430,000 scheduled to be spent in 2017 and 2018 across those 2 years. I think we spent like $30,000 last year, and I don't know what's been spent so far this year, but for these projects that we're doing, money, a lot of money has been set aside, already scheduled to be spent. Now that
Right.
$430,000 also includes things that haven't been talked about, like all the pool furniture, and all that is also already scheduled to be replaced. So the money in the reserve account, we're not spending it ahead of schedule, is what
Right.
I'm trying to say. The money's there.
Exactly. And that was all part of the discussion that I was talking about earlier.
So do you, so you mentioned the lights needs to pass.
Are we good?
I think we're good.
So
Thank you, Tom.
Is there a motion that needs to be passed
Yeah, you need to make a motion.
to replace the lights?
Is that part of this electrical proposal, or is that separate from? Okay, so we're working our way down?
Oh, I see. I thought it was part
No,
of it.
it's
Okay.
down there at the bottom.
All right, never
So
mind.
before we finish committee, I've got this one.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds like,
Thank you, guys.
so we're on committee reports. It sounds like we're past the exterior and interior and the appoint chair. So the other item I was going to add, we did get another applicant, another volunteer who is interested in joining. In this case, it's the Clubhouse Remodel Interior Committee. And by the way, so everyone knows, there are a number of additional blank forms. They're at the front desk, and so if you'd like to join one of these committees, feel free to take one of those forms and put it in the suggestion box, as it says on the form itself. This one came from Jack, am I pronouncing your name right? Benoon?
Benoon, yes.
Benoon, all right, and he is here with us, and he has a loud voice. Thank you for submitting this. I've spoken with you. I'm really pleased that you're volunteering, and I nominate Jack Benoon to join the Interior Committee.
All right, I'll second that. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion carries.
All right, congratulations, Jack.
So I just want to make a quick comment that, all the committees are really doing a great job. And, by the time you and I get out of here, maybe we'll have a sparkling new clubhouse and, but get a head start on the pool, right? It's a great job, guys.
So is Todd still here? I can't tell if this.
Yeah, he's here.
So I'm going to ask Todd, looks like we've got maybe a few minutes left of this meeting. Are you comfortable if there's any daylight left at that time, which looks like we're getting pretty close to the end of the daylight? Would you be comfortable taking anyone from this meeting who wants to go have a look at that expanded pool and kind of show them? Okay, so for those people who didn't hear him say, he said absolutely. So I'd like to do that with you and with anyone else so that we can have a closer look at that pool expansion.
Can I ask about Mars security? You were talking about doing another committee, and we kind of talked briefly about that.
So maybe I was thinking maybe we can, club that in with maybe the exterior committee, and maybe add that responsibility to them to kind of have a security.
We could certainly do that. If we wanted to do that, the way to do it would be to add it to the charter, because they have an existing
Right,
charter, so we would change the charter.
So maybe Bruce, you can help us change some language on the charter for the exterior committee to include some maybe neighborhood security, patrols or even so.
I think when we talked in general about this, I mean, the trend for years was associations should never talk about security, and I'm kind of the opposite. I think you guys are a central resource. Police can't be everywhere at all times. It's an asset if the association can add a layer. It's no guarantee, but it's something that can enhance the community.
So can we modify the language to kind of add, so can you come up with some suggestions on the modified language and send it across?
Yes.
So that maybe on the 16th, we can have an agenda item to have that thing. I know you will not be there, but.
But I'll have the info for you.
Okay.
And we can call it Your Neighbors Taking Action.
Is that in addition to the Neighborhood Watch Committee, or are we merging?
No, we'll just have, we'll not have the neighborhood watch committee, we'll just
Okay.
roll that into this. Yes. So we'll maybe call it like, a different name, to include security in that, so. Okay, so, any unfinished business from last time?
No,
Jen has a
there's
question.
nothing.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't have a question, I just wanted to let people know. I opened it up for people to go out and look at one of the pools that Gary just did, which was the Myriad Inn. I took pictures when I was out there. If anybody would like to see the quality of his work, just send me a message through Nextdoor or whatever, and I will be glad to send you pictures where you can do some comparisons of what we currently have versus what we could have using him.
Thank you, Pam, that's excellent.
Yeah, maybe we'll just put it on Nextdoor.
So
Okay.
do we have any unfinished business?
No, if it's not on the agenda, you can't talk about it, so.
Okay.
Next thing is. You can't. Can I ask a question?
So the next is the electrical proposal.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The pictures that you're going to give, how old is the work that those pictures cover? How long ago did they do that?
Like within the last 2 years. Actually, I think Marietta Inn's been open about 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have anything of their work that's longer than that? Because obviously when this was first done, it was beautiful too. Do we have anything of their
I can-
work that's of a longer period?
I can get some, they just redid the aquatic center out at down at South Sac.
Okay.
The problem is a lot of the stuff that he's done, he has a do not disclose agreements with.
Right.
So you can't, a lot of places, they don't want their plans getting out and all that, they don't want people going to see their stuff, so they sign standard do not disclose agreements.
No, is there anything that he did, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago that we can see to see if the quality's still there after that amount of time?
I will tell you this, I spoke to every one of the references he gave me. They all rated him as high as possible. He has a 5-star rating and has held a 5-star rating for a long time.
We'll get you some old ones too.
Yeah.
We'll ask them.
Okay.
All right. Yes. Okay, so I will put a motion to approve the electrical bid.
So is there any more that you want to share with us about that?
Well, I can give you a little bit of stats. For one, it's a 5-year manufacturer warranty. The LED is rated for maintenance-free operation for 50,000 hours. It's a 35 to 75% savings on your energy cost than in compared to your fluorescent lights that are currently out there. We'll match the same light, color, temperature as existing 4000K lights. Quality of 79 regular recessed lights, 73 emergency recessed lights, and 2 to 4 inch recesses, total 154 lights. And then the trim is going to be a white with lens. So
And you
that-
said earlier that the cost is a little high initially, but the
Right.
intention is that it
It's
should
gonna
save us a
save you
lot.
guys an electric and having the guy come out and fix any that go out each.
Is there any
time.
SMUD rebates that we fall?
We're gonna look into that, yeah, we talked about that, we will definitely look into that. We think
Okay.
there is.
So the motion is on the table.
Second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded?
Anyone opposed?
Excuse me,
All right, the motion carries.
The landscape bid that I had in here, I wanna meet with them first, but what it's about is all of your urns that are out there are empty or have just silk flowers stuck in the middle or whatever. And they have or plastic, they have water to them that isn't on, and so I've asked the landscaper to go around and see if he can fix that water, and then to plant that, and so that's what the bid is for. Also, there's some sparse areas or just dirt areas in the front, because that's where you drive up and you see, I want it to look pretty. So I asked him to bid those to make it look nicer. There's one area that's a tree and just dirt, so I wanted him to plant in there. And then those square areas in here that have some plants
They used to have trees?
that used to have trees. Well, trees aren't gonna do well because it's all concrete around it, there's not enough water. But, Todd and I actually talked about maybe the miniature palm trees or something might be pretty. Anyway, I asked the landscaper to give us ideas for planting in there. I wanna meet with him and see exactly what he didn't give us pictures or drawings. So I wanna meet with him before I bring the proposal to you guys, but that's so you have an idea of what I'm doing with that.
And
that comes.
And they did go through and check all the urns, and all the urns do have water source to them and are functioning properly.
Yeah,
And
so
the-
I met with him, too, and thought the same, he told me the same thing.
So we'll wait on that then.
Yeah, so I don't have it
Okay.
with you because I want to get more clarification and really have an idea of what he's thinking and maybe make some changes.
So my question is, what kind of urns are they? No, you have to say Grecian urn.
Grecian urns.
And then you have to say, what's a Grecian urn? And say, what's a-
About 250.
Okay, so our next meeting, yes,
Also, what's the cost for the electrical work?
she just mentioned, so what is the cost on the electrical?
Oh, it was 58,000.
Okay, and then also, I know that we talked about the water fountain. The people that are doing the pool, are they also going to, do something about the water fountains?
So
The
we'll
fountain is almost completely repaired.
Todd's been working.
Todd's been working on it, it's almost completely repaired, there's gonna put another layer of something.
And the last
So
part.
we'll talk about that on 16, right? So we'll
So
talk about
that-
all that. on
It
the
does work, I got a video of it on my phone one day, but there is still a little bit of a leak, so he's fixing that, and then we're gonna talk about planting around a ground cover or
Oh.
something.
Yeah, and the landscaping bid also, and part of it includes that landscaping around the house.
But the fountain's almost all done.
All right.
Thank you, Todd Wheeler.
Yes, thank you, Todd.
I'm currently moving on to the next phase of the exterior and having somebody come out and look at the fencing.
Yes.
And that,
We talked
everybody
about that.
that's come out, we have a major problem on the fence out here, that you have to convert those sprinklers to drip systems,
Okay.
because they're spraying on that
Well,
fence,
and
and
it
that's
should
what's
be.
causing the
There
rust.
should not be a sprinkler out there.
Also, we have the same thing out in the front, where we have sprinklers in the flower beds, and they're spraying against the building.
Right.
Here in the back as well.
And
Yeah.
I did know that about the front, so thank you for telling me it in the back, and I'll
Yeah.
talk to him about that as well.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so the next meeting is on August 16th.
August 16th.
So hopefully everybody will be able to make it with questions. All right? All right, we can adjourn the meeting then. Thank you everyone for coming.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.